Thank you. Thank you. Well, hello there. Welcome back. I'm Abi Palmer, and you are watching The Weather, your weekly after party to celebrate the launch of my 4-part series, Abi Palmer Invents the Weather, in collaboration with my 2 cats, Lola Lola and Cha-u-Kao. Previously on The Weather. Thank you. As you can see, this week we've reached episode 3, and I have to say, I think this film was my personal fave to create. I stitched together a living wall made from collected moss and ivy and illuminated the whole space with a disco ball, which lulled my collaborators into a soothing spring sleep. It felt so right. If you haven't seen the film yet, it's available right here on Our Angels YouTube until the end of March. But why hurry? It's spring. Let's just rest here for a moment together and enjoy this gentle evening. The days are getting longer and it's gonna be okay. As always, I believe I'm the first guest to arrive, but this week I'm 100% convinced that my co-stars would like to talk to you. Let's see if we can find them. Okay. We're on the search for a cat. Now, last week we had a little problem. The cats were very reluctant to talk. And I've realized something. It was a strike day and they're not getting paid. So they were refusing to participate, but I have heard this week I brought along some snacks. Let's see if they'll come and join us. Hello, Lola. Would you care to do an interview? Lola, how does it feel to be in spring again? Do you care for this season? Do you feel like the seasons affect you? Oh, little high five there. Little high five. Yeah, okay. Do you think it was arrogant of me to have taken on the role of the unmoved mover, the hand of God, by stitching together a garden? Oh, very polite. Well, she's not answering, but she is eating, and she does know how to high five, and that's cool. Let's see if we can find her sister. So Cha-u also was on strike, and I think that's important. Let's see. I think she might be down here. Cha-u! No, she's very suspicious of cameras. Let's see if we can persuade her to come out from underneath there. Hey, Cha-u. Cha-u. How does it feel now we're 3 films in? Do you feel like your relationship with filmmaking has changed? Did it feel to you like this one was an easy film to make, wasn't it? I feel like we all felt like it was an easy film. But do you think that's because it was spring or because we kind of got the hang of things as a collaborative trio by then? Would you like a treat? Okay. No? Let's see if you're going to give me a high five on camera. No, she's very suspicious. Very brave. She's bravely eating her treat. You know when people say artists are lazy and they want more money, but like don't seem to want to do anything for it? I mean, I think that's ridiculous, but I don't know. These cats, they're just not very cooperative, are they? Let's go back to the studio. I hope you've all noticed I took my shoes off for this. They were very big. Okay. Hello again, my friends. It's still me, Abi Palmer, and this is still your new favorite talk show / after party, The Weather. My collaborators are still fairly uncommunicative, but don't worry, we've got a plan. This week, I'm really excited to bring you a guest who spent the last few years carving out this tiny little corner of the world and the internet that talks about life, art, politics, and play, and explores how all of these things are interconnected. I always like to describe how we met, but I actually don't know in this case. Over the pandemic, we began sending each other voice notes about sickness and survival and creating a creative practice when your body doesn't want to play. This week, she's been in bed with COVID, so I feel like we're extremely lucky to have her. Please give a big weather welcome to Gabrielle de la Puente. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I've got COVID. I think I'm on like day 13. But you know, it's better than it was 5 days ago, 6 days ago. I saw an
Better
upward
than
trend.
5, yeah,
Yeah.
but probably not as good as like 6 days ago.
No, I know. I was also just thinking like this first 7 minutes of this program have been so smooth with like the transitions between each moment. I just really wish that like I had that in my real life. Like, you know,
Right.
between like waking up and getting out of bed, I wish that there was just a transition like between us.
It would be so nice, wouldn't it? I find like getting up to be the hardest thing, like getting out of bed, and there's like the bit where you wake up and you've had like a nice dream or you feel great, and then like there's that, and then there's 2 hours later and I'm out of bed.
It's yeah, but we could just do transitions instead.
Yeah,
If only we
I'm
were
gonna
in
start.
sitcom shows. Yeah.
Yeah, start picturing them in like do 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 do, and then suddenly I'm in the kitchen and I've had my breakfast already.
I do feel like sometimes the best way to like get myself to move is to play a song. If I'm like, okay, right, I'll just put this song on and then I will have a shower and it will be horrible, but I'll get through it. The length of the song. And
Yeah,
maybe that's what I've been trying to do this whole
yeah,
time is like give
like
myself like a
pumping disco
background
anthems.
track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you need to like. I sometimes I put on like Born Slippy to get myself out of bed. That's actually like
Perfect.
get yourself going. Before we go any further, I thought we should probably do a visual description of ourselves for the audience. Is that okay with you?
Of course.
Do you want? Shall I go first? I never go first.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm a white woman wearing a ridiculous get-up of a lot of sequins, some feathers, and some glittering headpiece thing. In the background behind me, there are some pictures of plants, and I'm lounging on a pink chaise longue, which you can just about see.
Fab. I'm also a white woman. I have red framed glasses on, a headset, pink hair, and then behind me there is like a fabric hanging of pixelated clouds by the artist 8 Pixel to cover my bedroom wall and make this look like a professional studio. I am in bed though. Don't tell anyone.
I love art in bed. I think it's really important, actually. Just a reminder for the audience, if you have questions for Gabrielle or myself, you can ask them on YouTube via the comments thread or on Twitter via the hashtag Abi Palmer invents the weather. We'll be answering questions at the end of the show. Back to being in bed. I love
I flip flop, to be honest. Today I'm happy to be here. I just feel so physically physically flat, but mentally quite awake, which is I think when I have to just accept bedtime and, as you call them, do bed activities. And today's bedtivity is this, which is quite special.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I say I love being in bed. I don't. I have a reclining bed. It's electric. I think we have a mutual friend, Bella Milroy, who I did a piece for her zine it as part of Mob Shop. She did this really great project for people who haven't looked at Mob Shop. It's incredible. It was exploring like the space of mobility shops, which are really weird spaces, incredibly strange. And one of the things that she commissioned me to talk about was like, it's when I moved into this flat, social services were like, well, we won't give you another bed raiser in a double bed with your partner. You have to have your own separate hospital bed, and your partner just has to get like a divan to kind of match it, and you have to like smush together.
So what does your bed do?
Well, it's an electric bed. The one they gave me was like a raised one, and I was saying, can I not just buy one like from like, you know, like Saga adverts or like old people adverts where they have like a double-sided bed where two people can lie in.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah.
And the social services lady was like, no, you can't have that because if your care needs increase, this bed, like the hospital bed, raises. And it took me about like 7 years to work out I can actually just buy a bed, like, and they're really expensive, but like social services kind of really insisted that I shouldn't share a bed with my partner. It was like this really weird thing. But yeah, eventually I got one during COVID. I got one of these beds, and me and my partner now both have two sides of the bed. But like, I love it because it elevates your back, but it also elevates your knees. So you can just like, if you're in pain, you can just be in kind of like a zero gravity position and just kind of float, which for working and stuff is great.
We just do the pure lo-fi version, like put shitloads of pillows when I'm having leg pain. And like, I will say, as much as I hate being in bed because of chronic illness, just making it feel like a prison sometimes. Like, my boyfriend is 6'8", so the bed we've got is huge.
Nice.
We went on like Facebook Marketplace and just tried to find the world's biggest bed. So it's not all bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so nice and roomy.
Yeah.
I was thinking a little bit, I mean, it kind of brings me to like something that I was thinking of talking about, was this thing about like how you carve out space, like, and like something that I found really interesting about watching your practice over the last few years is seeing you carve out these spaces both like on and offline, online with the white pube, which for anyone who's watching who, I feel like maybe we should explain what the
let's do exposition. Yeah. So my job is as a critic. I've been writing on a website called The White Pube since 2015 with my collaborator, who isn't a cat, but is called Zarina Mohammed. So we have a website called thewhitepube.com, and the name essentially is a play on the white cube, which is the idea that art is best viewed in this perfect white space. And the white cube is also a chain of international, very fancy galleries. So we've been publishing criticism on art every Sunday for years and years. And then more recently, that has expanded into video games, books, films, theatre, food. And sort of like alongside the writing, we've developed like an institutional critique arm of what we do, I think. So the website also tries to offer some resources like a successful funding application library, because I think, I don't really feel like I need to explain that. I just think everyone should be able to see how funding applications are written, and they should do that so they can try and get their own money, because I think the system is so rigged against people. So yeah, we've got a bazillion funded applications on the website. We also have a monthly creatives grant of £500, and we publish our accounts. So if you want to know how much I get paid for this, go check the accounts later. Things like that. It's fun. So that's what I do.
Yeah, and I think it's been a really interesting space to like come across as an artist, and like something that really excites me about it is by having like these ongoing conversations with like everything around you. Like one of my favorite reviews that you wrote was you reviewed the pandemic, like really and like this idea of like seeing everything around you as something to like engage with and ask questions. I feel like it's created this space where, as a reader and a participant of art, like it's helped me to imagine a world that feels more comfortable for me, or like identify the bits that don't, when something doesn't feel right in an art interaction as a like user, as a like artist, or as an audience member. I think it's quite helpful to have that ongoing exchange, but also with the pandemic, with the weather, like having these critiques of like the things around you, like I don't know, there's something really exciting about that.
I like that it's become so flexible. I think when we started writing, it was just because we thought that typical art writing was super boring, and
It is.
we just couldn't, like, our teachers in university were like, go and read this book, or make sure you read the third chapter of this very difficult philosophy book. And like I would get this stuff out of the library and have to renew it over and over again because like I would never get to the end of it. And like, yeah, we sat down eventually, me and Zarina, and kind of admitted that to each other. um and had to sort of imagine like, okay, well, if this was done differently by us, how would we go about it? And start to write ourselves. And that was really fun and very art focused at the beginning. And it wasn't until like 5 or 6 months into it that I published a review of Jessie Darling's exhibition at Arcadia Mesa Gallery. And it wasn't like necessarily like a rave review. I just said like, I felt very flat. The show made me feel very leveled and sort of like, yeah, batted back into my body in a way that I was like not really ready for. And I think the last line of the review is like, this exhibition feels like a stomach settling. And Jessie tweeted afterwards, not facetious or ironic, this might be the harshest, most true review because the white pube channels somatic currents. They're not just fucking with discourse. And like, having someone else tell us what we were doing, and
Mm-hmm.
to say like, oh, actually, when you go into a gallery, you're not doing what like the Guardian, Jonathan Jones, Adrian Sale crowd are doing, and you're also not doing what like the published French author cohort are doing. You're like using your body as like the thermometer or the measuring instrument in order to test the weather. Like,
Yeah,
and then
literally.
go to the page and then describe what the weather was like and how the weather affected you, and how did the artist make that happen, and like the magic of that trick, which then as soon as Jessie like kind of reflected ourselves back to us, it
Yeah.
made me realize that I could do that for anything. So I could go into a gallery and be like, what is this? But I could also go to Disneyland Paris and also be like, how weird is it that humans build massive machines to make ourselves go really fast and in loops, and you know water rides, and or we go to restaurants and we go to the theater and we start to put that treatment to everything. And yeah, just try and figure out like why things are the way they are in like quite an anthropological way. Um,
Yeah.
so then come COVID, and then come me getting COVID, that COVID turning into long COVID, that long COVID becoming POTS and having a chronic illness and all the rest of it. Like, it made my instrument so different that I was like, I want to go back to all these things and see what it's like to do it as a disabled person, and realize like, wow, the world is so fucking different now. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Like, I mean, that's the thing. I think that's what's always been quite soothing about that space for me, is it does think about what the body's experience is, and like so
Mm.
many galleries don't. Like, I've been to so many galleries this year that show films, and that really like really famous popular exhibitions where the films are in the least comfortable space you could possibly imagine. And thinking, but even for an able-bodied person, it's not nice to stand at like body height, like, or like have to squat a bit and watch a film clutching a headphone, and then if you're with a friend, like your friend can't watch it with you, or you have to like do it by yourself, and then you have to wait, and then how many people are actually watching
Do
the
not go to the
film?
Turner Prize.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God. It feels like such a trite point to bring
Yeah.
up. Like you're like the princess and the pea, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable. Make it comfortable for me. Like as if and I feel that sometimes as a critic,
Yeah.
why should I be the person who's like make this right, change things.
Yeah, but it
But
shouldn't be that hard, should it? Like,
no.
I think it should be like a comfy cube. If you're gonna have a cube, put cushions in it. You can put, I don't know. It really I find it like I think a lot of there's this really beautiful essay by Johanna Hedver about sick womanhood, where they talk about like they are basically did it as a talk, and they invited everyone when they did the talk to place a rock in the shoe who didn't have a chronic illness while listening to the talk, and it completely blew my mind, because it was like, that's what it is, isn't it? You're always your mind is always thinking about something else, and so that was like a really for my practice really revolutionary to think, like, because my work is quite multisensory a lot of the time, like to think, why do I want to use so many senses? Why do I, like, because actually I want people to have these like physical experiences of it, and but also it started to make me think about like how I navigate those, like I started calling them like intrusions, like the thing where you've got like a pain in your shoe, or like the like a twinge in the neck, and there are all these intrusions that stop you from falling into like this creative reverie that like can help you create or help you experience art. And it was like a really I started, like, I need to finish writing it, but like I started this manifesto of like intrusion as a practice. So like starting with your intrusion. So if I'm like moving forward in space on my mobility scooter, and there's like a curb with no curb drop, and I can't get round or move forward, like I can't think in straight lines at that point. So I wanted to start I for me, a big part of my practice has been like identifying these spaces where the intrusions come, and using those as like a jumping off point to say like, well, what is the experience, what do I want the experience to be? So like that's why I've got a book that's very fragmented, because I couldn't finish the sentence, if that makes sense. But I want that as a user too. I want that as an art experiencer, not just like, I don't want to just be making work that accommodates my body. I'd like to be able to go out into the world and feel that too, and feel like someone's thought, oh, here's a comfy chair for you.
Yeah. See,
You know?
mine, I know what you mean, but like as you speak, I become like this malevolent person who thinks actually when I'm writing every week about art or games or theatre, and I do so in relation to what it's like to have POTS and to struggle with pain and dizziness and like brain fog and lack of concentration and all the rest of it. um, I understand what you're saying, and I think I try and pack the text with as much description as possible, so that the person reading it can try to come closer to where I'm coming from on a sort of biological cellular level. But ultimately that won't work, because they are words on a text, and that's art and whatever is. I just want to give people pots. Like, I'm like, can you also just get COVID and keep it forever? Because like nothing will ever contain the expression that I'm trying to offer. Just get sick forever, please.
It's so true. Yeah, I definitely had this thing where like when my friends started getting pregnant, like for the first time, I suddenly, like, everyone suddenly developed way more empathy for like 9 months. And then like I think you're biologically programmed to forget sometimes. Like not everyone has forgotten, but it is really easy to forget. And I know that my own chronically ill body plays that trick on me all the time, where it's like, oh, I'm good now, I don't need to worry about that, even though I know I've been chronically ill. So I collapsed when I was like 18. I've been in bed since I was 18, or 17 actually, but and got in and out, and I've got a life around it, but it's still, I know all the tricks, but it still gets you, doesn't it? Like
it still gets you. That's what it's been like for the. So I got sick January 2021, and then I got COVID again 2 weeks ago, and I almost was like, oh my god, I can do things again. I can like live without that as the forefront of my mind. And now I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna go places again. It's like gone
Mhm.
right back to like
Yeah.
being in bed all day. And it's kind of, you'll understand this because of where you come from, but like if a person is watching this who doesn't understand or hasn't lived with someone with a chronic illness, they might think like, oh, she's fine because she's on a Zoom talk and she's being a professional. And like realistically, I didn't do anything yesterday or for the beginning part of this day so that I could do this, and I won't
Mhm.
do anything tomorrow either because I will have done this. It's
Yeah,
kind of
you're
like
dead.
that's what I mean, like the breadth of that, and all of the what's the word, like disclaimers. You can never express everything you want to say about chronic illness in a
Yeah.
neat package.
Yeah.
And like I think it's fascinating to me to come to art about illness in that way now, and to think about when I write, am I writing actually for the other people who already get it, or um, am I trying to cross that bridge? And I don't know. It makes like makes me think again about how a lot of art, and especially art institutions, try to take art objects and like make them universally accessible for as many different people. And I actually don't know if that's the way to go. I kind of like the idea that everything gets smaller again and like more direct and more tailored and more exclusive as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm just coming off really bad in this talk now. I think everyone should get infected. I think art is not for everyone.
But yeah, if everyone gets infected, then they can come along and see the small little art interventions that are for chronically ill people. So
But
I mean,
like
it works out great.
that's why it's like the weather project for you, I think, is kind of amazing because like you'll have a chunk of your audience watching it who went through lockdown and understand
Mhm.
what it was like to have to be
Mm.
grounded in one place and to have to like just survive the four walls that you're inside and just like figure out a way to not even make necessarily use the energy to make it interesting, but just cope with it. And then there
Yeah.
will be people who were like already in bed before the pandemic started, or people like me who are like, oh wait, I really like can't leave. Yeah, you are sort of catering to both in a way, but I feel like I'm in the special audience. I'm like in the VIP queue who can see it for what it
Yeah,
is.
I think it's like it's not that I make work for disabled people. I make work
Hmm.
of myself, and I think I'm a chronically ill person. So like the reason I made a weather project in my house with my cats was because I couldn't get an accessible studio at that time, and also I'm immunosuppressed, so it was really dangerous for the world was opening up, and I didn't believe I was able to be there, and rightfully so, because I immediately got COVID when I started coming out, and
Hmm.
then I was really sick for a long time, and it slowed the project down by a literal year. Like it's a year longer. It took a year longer than it should have done for that reason. But it meant that I got this time to be at home, having this like intimate practice where like I started asking myself all of those big questions that like I started spiraling about during the pandemic. Like, how do we navigate climate crisis? What kind of world is there for me as a sick person where like the heat is killing me and the cold is killing me? There are less and less seasons I can survive well in,
Oh
like,
my god.
and like of course you get existential in those moments. So like having what's been really nice is making it 4 seasons has allowed me to start it's actually allowed me to like live a bit better as well, because now I know like this winter the project was finished but I just didn't do anything else. Like I did learning, not creating, because I was like, well, come spring I'll be really active again. I'll be able to function. But there's no point in winter. It's my body can't handle that unless I go abroad and
Are
escape.
we the opposite then? Because
Yeah,
I
no,
can't do
I
anything.
faint in summer also.
Are you faint in summer? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Jesus. It's that, but even that like piece of information feels like so unbelievable. I think it to bash my old self. If someone had said to me, um, my body is like my health is way better in the
Mm,
winter, I would have been like, what? what the fuck are you on about? It's like when people are like, oh, I can sense it's gonna rain today. That's how I would be taking it. Like you are like, I can't take you seriously. You're like someone who believes in horoscopes, and I'm like, I'm just gonna hold you at arm's length. Whereas like now I also completely understand how it is to have your life dictated by temperature. Like my COVID did something insane to my blood vessels. So now when it's too hot, my heart can't cope with the heat. I have less blood now than other people, so I need to drink like 8 liters of water in the summer and have like all of this extra salt in order to just stay upright. But then it doesn't even work. I don't even stay upright.
Well. It's very relatable content.
It's so bizarre, but like that lesson I think is so like worth talking about. So yeah, to break it down into like sort of 4 seasons that you want is like beautiful.
It was really nice to say, like, explaining it to these cats and sort of saying like, what is it, what am I learning about this, and how can I like obviously like this kind of conceit of like feeding it back to my cats, but they loved it too, you know, like, but I noticed they have cycles too, like in winter they also close down, they sleep more, they're impacted by the weather too, the sun's come out and they're much more active. Oh hey Drew,
I'm trying to
got a special guest.
She's on the she's looking at me. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but at the same time, no, if she doesn't make it on TV, I will be.
We welcome intrusions of cats on this show. I think it's very important.
Oh my god, she's coming. I put so many out. Come here, come on. Hello, Coco. I think she's scared of the wires.
My cats they just don't like cameras in their faces. I had to hide them all, like David Attenborough, to get this.
Like David Attenborough. Wait. There we go.
Oh, hello, Coco.
She's being on the telly. Okay, she was on it. I'm satisfied.
What a celebrity cat. How has it been having Coco? Like, you got Coco after becoming sick as well, and during the pandemic, I guess.
I sort of got it because I was sick. So like, don't know if you can hear her crunching on Dreamies. I've put one on the keyboard, and I'm just now thinking, okay, there she is. Hello. Don't want it to press like close on the keyboard. Anyway, yeah, so I got sick in the January 2021. Had to leave the flat that I was in because I just couldn't look after myself. And then moved in with Michael, my partner, in the May 1st, so that he could look after me. And it was the first time we'd lived together, and we'd been together for like 4 or 5 years at that point. And one day he turned to me and he was like, we could get a cat. And I was so ill that I was like, I couldn't comprehend any more responsibility in my life. I was like, I couldn't cook. I was like, I can't have a cat. It doesn't make any sense. And it was a funny day. My mum went to pick up some prescription for me and drop it off. And Coco's trying to get the rest of the Dreamies. Michael and my mum were like conferring. There's something on Michael's phone, and he was like, look, and she was like, oh, I don't think she'd like that one. And I was like, what are you talking about? And we were all sat down in the garden, and I was like, please just tell me. And my mum was like, you're just gonna have to tell her. You can't do this without telling her. And they turned, and the phone was on Gumtree for cats. And there was a woman in Huyton in Liverpool, and her cat had like got out the back of the house. She was a house cat. She'd accidentally got out. She'd come back. She was pregnant. Got knocked up. And my mum just went, should we go right now? And I cannot express this enough. I'd not been anywhere in like 3 months. And I was like, I was like shaking with the adrenaline of like the possibility of getting in a car and going somewhere on a really hot day as well,
Yeah.
to see cats. So we get in a car, we're absolutely, I was like, this is the best day of my life. Um, she,
She's
where have
so
I got anything?
perfect.
She, we knock on this door in Heighton, this tiny little house, and there was just like 5 or 6 little black kittens, and they were like, "Do you want one of them?" And I was picking them up, and they were all basically identical, but Coco was the only one that was like completely black to the point where her paw pads were black as well.
Oh my
The other
god.
ones had like little patchy paw pads, and I just thought
Yeah.
like there's something so complete about a black cat. I was like, the first pet I ever had was a completely black cat as well. So we got Coco, um, and it was really special to get a cat, but also to have it be so spontaneous. And
Mm.
Michael just turned to me the next day and was like, "You, Coco, please, we're doing a talk." Um, he just said to me, "You need this cat, like you
Yeah.
need it," and I really did. I was in a bad place. And she was just so silly and fun, and like sort of did all of the things that a cartoon cat might do,
Yeah.
like picking things up in her mouth and running across the room with them, and
No. Oh my
standing up, and
god.
like just she does the ek thing, when she sees
Yeah.
a bug, like where she kind of goes like without like making a noise.
Just talks to the bug.
Just she was just so comical and cartoon, and we became like incredibly ridiculously codependent over the over the course of 2021, to the point where like come 2022 I got my diagnosis for POTS. I got beta blockers finally, and I could start to stand up a bit more.
Yeah.
But Coco was livid with me because she had gotten so used to like our routine of being every day
In
completely
bed. Yeah.
still
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
bed,
Yeah.
hair on my lap, so that when I stood up, she got so angry with me. And like, I started to sit at my desk to write reviews instead of doing them from bed. And she
Yeah.
would get up on the side and scratch my arms because she was just like,
Coco.
fuck this. Like, fuck you.
I'm
Fuck the beta
fuming.
blockers. Fuck
Yeah.
the long COVID clinic. And we're back in like a good place now, but for a
Yeah.
while she was like, this isn't working out.
Yeah, this
Get
isn't
back in
what you.
bed.
This isn't what I signed up for. I'm here for a reason.
I had to
It's
put
like
like
a bit.
I had
Yeah.
to just put like a little box next to the computer so that she could like sit in it.
Next.
And
Oh no, that's so
she's
cute.
gotten like so
Yeah.
much bigger than the box that the box
Yeah.
is completely warped on all edges.
I love that. It's so, I don't know, it's so weird, isn't it? I have my Cha-u, the tabby cat, also like she loves nothing more than when my partner's out, she's got me to herself and like and I'm completely still. And then, or like
Mm,
if I have like a stomach upset, she also loves to like try to come and climb onto me while I'm on the loo, which is disgusting.
that's so cute.
But like she loves it if I'm like still in a place and she can just have me to
Yeah.
herself. And Lola is more like inclined towards my partner and really loves to like climb onto his shoulder and just like walk around all day on his shoulder, which is also very, very adorable. And it's just really interesting to see like their crises, like when things changed, like when Golo went back to work in an office, Lola was just absolutely distraught, and suddenly I realized like, oh, I have to like be emotionally responsible for 2 cats, not just
Yeah.
one was sort of waiting for him all day and I hadn't quite realized. But like having that like emotional intertwine, it really pulls me out of myself, like you have to like
Yeah.
care for
Because
something else.
especially with, I get what you're saying, because I think people around me were being very celebratory that I was
Yeah.
like able to do more things.
Yeah.
But like Coco's reaction and Coco's anxiety to me starting to move a little bit more,
Yeah.
like helped me take stock of also like how difficult that was to almost start to get used to not being able to do anything,
Yeah.
and then kind of backtrack on that a little bit. And there's something kind of quite stable about not being able to do too much. It was like
Yeah.
potentially the least anxious I've ever been in my life, but also the least happy, but
Oh. So do you want to finish the
stable.
thought?
But yeah, just stable and like yeah, you know what the forecast is because nothing changes. Yeah, something about that was
Yeah, the sense
bizarre.
of there's like, I don't know, it's yeah, I think having that relationship is really important. I don't know, I'm now distracted because there was
a cat.
the
There's a
meow.
meow.
That meow means it's time for our first segment. Cats keeping us on schedule as ever. Are you ready for our first segment? Show your pets the weather. Show your pets the weather.
Rolling.
Thank you so much. That was Show Your Pets the Weather, the part of the show where you, the public, get to join in the fun of showing your beloved pets the weather. Thank you so much again to everyone who sent pet videos my way this week. It was incredible. I enjoyed all the rat content. It's not too late to join in the fun. If you want to show your pets the weather, email us at info@ourangel.org.uk and tune in next week to see if your pet has made it to the big screen. Some strong content this week. How did you feel about that?
I loved the Park the Rat enjoying the central heating.
Park the Rat!
He's spoiled, to be honest. Who gets to enjoy central heating anymore?
I think that's actually a rat from your Discord server, the White Pube Discord server. Sarah, Queen of Rat, who sent so many incredible, like the lineage of rats that Sarah had. It was so, like, my favorite was that, like, Old Man House is a great name. There was a rat called Potato, which
perfect.
I just think, like, rats are a really good pet, actually, in my humble opinion, and as someone who doesn't have one. But, like, you can just, you've got so many name potentials, you can really
yeah.
I think that it means it's already time for our second segment. Are you ready for this?
I am.
I like my pets, you like your pets, let's like our pets together. And now it's time to show my pets, your pets being shown the weather.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that was showing my pets. Your pets being showing the weather, the part of the show where my pet / movie stars and your pet / movie stars collide. And right now we have another pet, Coco. You're the movie star.
Add another layer to the cat being shown. The cat.
Oh, the public love it. I think it's really great. I think I have shown previously Cha-u and Lola watching the videos, but it would be great if we could get Coco watching Cha-u and Lola watching the rap.
Yeah, this is what we want.
That is exactly.
My fingers are just absolutely covered in. Oh Jesus.
Delightful. I love that.
I thought we'd lost the whole thing then. She managed to hide the tab. Anyway, I'm back. Hello.
No, it's great. It's great. We've got time for a few questions. So if you, again, a reminder, if you want to ask questions, you can do that via YouTube or via Twitter. Our first question is from Angelica Jones. Do you have any suggestions of resources or spaces or events for chronically ill or disabled people to engage with the art world virtually at the moment, from someone also dealing with isolation? That is a really great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I think off the top of my head?
This is why I got so into games, which I know isn't really a useful answer, but I mean, if you've got access to a Netflix account, Netflix have added a load of games. There's plenty on there that I could recommend, including Immortality and Before Your Eyes. Art-wise, I think websites like This Is Tomorrow, and even just going onto Vimeo and trying to pretend that you're having your own film festival, film screening at home. That might be a nice way to stay involved with art. Going back through the videos on Art Angel, for example, I was on the Art Basel YouTube channel recently, and they've got plenty of talks and interviews with artists and videos that feature paintings and artists speaking about the painting or the sculpture or whatever it is. I think maybe if people aren't putting if people aren't making current live exhibitions accessible to people on the internet, then there is always the massive backlog of content that galleries have been making over the years that can actually just be really enjoyable. Art podcasts as well. There's one called The White Pube. I don't really listen to that many to be able to recommend them.
There's also Cryptic Arts, they're a disabled arts organization that their founder Jamie Hale is a really great is a disabled artist who's really been working on hybrid forms, and we've been having really interesting conversations this week about what it means to make a hybrid form event. Is it I argue that it's a form of translation. You don't want exactly the same thing, what you want live as to what you want on a Zoom, for instance. They're two different experiences. But like yeah, Jamie handles that really beautifully, and they do some like the work is stunning, some of that. So like looking for disabled arts organizations tend to be slightly more accessible as well, which is, it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't only get to like look at art made by disabled artists, like that's ridiculous. But I do think that can be a really great option. I also really like, have you watched the Andy Warhol Diaries on Netflix?
I've just added it to my list to
Oh,
watch.
it slaps.
I don't know if you recommended it to me. Someone did. Yeah.
I recommended it because the thing I like most about it, it's got AI Andy Warhol, which makes me laugh. It's just his voice being like, oh, why am I so sad about this? But like what I love about it is every episode he gets existential and jealous about other art in the world, and some weeks he's like, why did I sell out and make all those soup cans? And then some weeks he's like, oh, I should have sold out and made more soup cans, and he's jealous of like everyone and heartbroken, and he's like really generous as well. He thinks every film is incredible. He's like, that was a really neat film about every single film he ever watched. And you can tell he really wants to be creatively generous, but like he's just like being a little bitch as well. And it makes me feel better about the days when I feel shit about my own practice. Like I think that's
I would say also like Mubi.
Yeah,
I don't know if I don't ever really want to recommend Netflix on anything. I think like especially like the UI, like the user interface of Netflix, I find really difficult to make sense of. Like, okay, here's 2,000 things you can watch, and make them all flash as you like go across the screen. For me, I just can never pick anything to watch, and just that's why I'm on season 5 of Gilmore Girls. Whereas if you go to Mubi, not only does it feel like way more handcrafted and clearer, the content just feels a little bit more on the artsy side. They've got films like The African Desperate, which I would really recommend. The cat is just making a lot of noise. And what's it, After Sun, which has just been nominated for loads of stuff. So I think like even though those might not be like visual art stuff, they feel like they are pieces of art that are going to influence like a wider visual conversation. So it's worth spending time with them.
Yeah, and they also have a section for like shorter documentaries, for instance, which is really, really good. So if you're like feeling like I've got 20 minutes of art in me today, that's my favorite thing about Mubi is like if you only have a small amount of capacity, you can put on something for 10 minutes or 20 minutes and go, okay, great, I've done art today. Now I can go back to season 5 of Gilmore Girls, which
exactly. Whereas really Netflix doesn't put artist films on there. They just do like films and TV, whereas Mubi's like a good mix of both. Yeah, I'd really recommend it.
Yeah, I think like being like, I definitely reaching out and thinking about what art is. Like another way of looking is like ordering zines if you can afford it. Like so getting things that people have made that they can send to you that are cheap, but like ways of creating as like thing I would call that like a bedtivity, ordering a zine, where you can read it in bed when you're having a crap day and you've done something creative and felt touched by someone, but like
it's so true. Artist publishing in general, like Photo Works, places like that, they're worth looking into.
And in terms of community, I would say the White Pubes Discord server has really enhanced my life. If you join the Patreon,
not to like plug it, but I mean I've found that for me I've got like a WhatsApp chat with a few people with long COVID that has given me my sense of community, but sometimes I'll scroll like the long COVID Reddit page and just like be like, oh my god, there's so many of us, or there must be a Discord server that is like art and chronic illness. I will try and like dig it out. There must be one that is good.
Another question then, does Coco have a favorite season?
Oh my god, does Coco have a favorite season? I kind of don't think she likes the summer because she's a black cat. Like I think it just did some. She was like me. She was like she had POTS. She was just dead. I think she's quite enjoyed winter, to be honest. She's been like snuggling under the quilts, which I've never seen her do before, but like to me again feels like a characteristic of a cartoon cat, where I can see like the flat, very big bed and this tiny little lump. And I'm like, oh my God, she's under there. At one point, she decided, I'm going under there, and she burrows. And I think that is just like so precious. Yeah.
It's a great season. I think, yeah, it's really interesting. Like, my cats have access to the balcony now. Like, we've cat secured it, although initially not well enough. And when Lola she was being cat sat during the heat wave, and the cat sitter came home from like clubbing at like 4 a.m. and was like, oh, I wonder where the cats are, and heard this meowing, and she was on the neighbour's balcony looking over and saying, like, she apparently her face was like, what have I done? And then like we'd had like a bit of a net up at that point, and she had gone to the edge of this balcony and sort of gone, oh God, it doesn't have a net, there's no protection for me here. So she and then the cat sitter went to sleep because it was like 4 a.m. She couldn't get hold of me, she couldn't get hold of the neighbour, so she was like, I'm just gonna go to bed and deal with this in the morning. I woke up in Greece and thought, oh my God, my cat is definitely flat on the I just was like, oh, my cat's dead. I guess my bad, the cat is dead, I should have put more of a net up. And my friend woke up, she had breakfast, like I called her, I was like, where is she? I was like, can you just go and look over the side and see where she is? She's like, I can't see her anywhere, I can't find her. Shook that Thrive tin and she came out from a bush. She just had gotten herself back happily. Yeah, it was very traumatic for all of us. Ulrika, Abby, what made you decide in a disco ball to represent spring sunlight? That was a good question. So I was thinking, for me, like, I'm someone who's really impacted by the lack of light in winter, and Winter was a film as well. The fog film was I felt like I thought about the lack of light a lot on ways to reproduce it. But then I was thinking about the effortlessness of the light in spring, the fact it just comes and you don't have to do anything. It's just there. And I was thinking about ways of bringing as much light as possible, like as much illumination into this box. And I'd also been thinking about, like, I guess futurism, like the idea of like something I talked a lot with my mentor at the time, Michael, who was the director of Art Angel, over the pandemic, was this idea of like iridescence and like shining as like a way of like imagining alternative spaces. Like I was talking a lot about the slugs on my balcony and saying I think slugs are like a really queer creature because they're like, they can switch sexes if they need to, but they also have this slime that we're repulsed by, but it's actually like when you look at it, it's kind of stunning, like, and it feels like sick bodies. Like it's like when like we're so used to like this pantomime revulsion around them that like I want this like stunning iridescence and like to imagine this other space that's like full of light and happiness. And so I started thinking about a disco ball as like the perfect illusion of spring, and it bringing all this kind of light in this, I don't know how to explain that any better, just like bringing in this like effortlessness, but also like all these imagined worlds and spaces. Like every time the mirror ball reflects, like all those little squares have a slightly different angle of light of the same universe in, and that gives you a different version to imagine back. For me, yeah, that's how I feel. And I also thought, oh wow, the cats will really love all those little beads of light. Thank you, Ulrika. I appreciate your response. If you can't read that, it says, thanks, Abby. This was a beautiful poetic answer. Oh, that meowing, that's the last meowing of the season. That means it's time for the end of the show. I'm going to do my talking bits now. So just a reminder, if you want to catch up on my film series, Abi Palmer Invents the Weather, episode 1, 2, and 3 are available on our Angel's YouTube channel right now. New episodes are being released every Tuesday for the rest of March. Next Tuesday, we're back with the 4th and final episode, Heat, which I like to think ties the whole series together. And yes, I did make it in a heat wave. And yes, it was very physically hard and I had to do it twice. Join us after that for the after party right here on this couch. Next Thursday, this at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Next week, we'll be joined by game designer, artist, and musician who scored all of these weather films beautifully, I might add, Nick Murray friend of the show. Come and join us and tell all your friends. And until then, don't forget to show your pets the weather. Thank you so much to Art Angel for commissioning this project, and thanks to Tank TV for hosting it on their channel. Thank you to Marina Doritas and Michael Morris for their excellent production, and to Lily Max Hager for the incredible tech support. And just this has been the best pet show reel so far. I think I really enjoyed this one. Nick Murray, friend of the show, thank you for the amazing title and outro music. And Nick's responsible for all the compositions and beautiful sound in the weather seasons. So we'll be talking to them next week. I'm very excited. Thank you to Mia Maxwell for styling this iridescent disco look. And thank you to Christy for making up my beautiful face. I am really delighted that you came on at the last minute to do that. Thank you, Jay, for that lovely comment also. No need to thank the rudest cats in the world, but a massive thank you to you, the audience, for tuning in, and a huge thank you to our special guest who came here even with that world famous coronavirus, of which we've all heard so much about. Gabrielle de la Puente, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I was just method acting as a sick person. I got it on purpose.
Incredible. This has been so nice. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Abi Palmer. This has been The Weather. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Coco.